never say it's over if I'm breathing. Racing to the moonlight and I'm speeding. I'm headed to the stars, ready to go far. We'll start walking. Don't ever say it's over if I'm breathing. Racing to the moonlight and I'm speeding. I'm headed to the stars, ready to go far. We'll start walking.
And welcome back to Worlds 2022 as we prepare to welcome in the LJL Titans of Detonation FocusMe. We first need to say another hello to Loud out of the CB LoL. We got our first look at them earlier today. We talked about how big this org is, how much support is behind them, and called out a couple of their key members, most notably there in the mid lane, TinOwns, one of the biggest names out of that region on one of the biggest hordes. Now, they didn't get it done earlier today, but they can rebound and bring themselves to a 500 record here by the end of day one with a win over Detonation FocusMe.
And I feel like even though they didn't win, we got to see spunkiness come out for them, especially with going with picks like the Jax. And, you know, again, being willing to bring the fight to the enemy team.
That's a good word, good word. Lock that one up in your brain. On the other side of the matchup, of course, is DFM. Now, at this point, this is an international mainstay out of Japan. I always go straight to the top lane when I'm thinking about this team, thinking about Evie. But in general, what a level of achievement this organization has been able to kind of garner over the years for the LJL, kind of always being the spearhead to improving their international standing.
Yeah, and last year, they were first place in their playing group to make it to the group stage. They've been at Worlds 4 of the last 5 years, and they have so much international experience, not to mention their domestic dominance and longevity feels completely unmatched in the League of Legends space. So it's a very impressive organizational achievement to make it back here year after year.
Yeah, I mean, going all the way back, I remember in 2016 coaching the LMS, scrimming these guys, and they've always been able to put out insane rosters. The organization, again, just has a very good foothold on talent. People like Evie, people like Yutapon coming in, being able to stick around and just have such longevity.
Go ahead.
And they might be a little more battle-tested this year. Normally people think of the LJL and we just say, oh yeah, by the way, DFM just slammed everyone.
Killed everybody, yeah.
But actually, another team, Sengoku Gaming, was 19-2 as well, which was also DFM's record in the regular season. Yes, they did beat them handily in the finals, but at least they had that rival within the league to hopefully elevate their own play.
That's what you want to see when you talk about teams needing to improve within their domestic regions before they come back to the international stage and try and, you know, land one notch higher on the ladder or in the standing.
Yeah, because it becomes a thing where you come in and, like, if you've only dominated your region, you don't know how to play from behind or how to play from like a neutral position because you've only won early. You haven't been put in those situations where now you're facing teams like Fanatics and Mads, and you are going to face some adversity in laning phase.
Now, earlier when we were taking a look at the roster, I mentioned that most of the time I go straight to the top lane. Evie, I mean, first of all, thumbs up. You can never forget that. Second of all, I think when it comes to the way that this team wins and what is so interesting about them at times is that creativity within picks and bans. We've talked about how that is generally the makings of a top-tier team at international play. And he's one of the guys, I think, that has some stuff in his arsenal that might catch people off guard if they don't choose to respect what he's got available to him.
Yeah, I feel like we see it every international tournament that these guys are at. I feel like he's just slowly being known as the Urgot guy because it feels like he always comes to MSI Worlds, is able to bring out things like the Urgot. And we saw throughout the year, spring and summer bringing out things like the Lilia. Of course, MSI, he did pull out the Urgot. And then even in spring, bringing out things like the Yorick. These types of curveballs can really throw teams off guard, find those interesting wins. And I guess it wasn't for their group, but earlier at the start of the day, we said, hey, creativity is one of the things that can net you those wins.
Absolutely. I bet you Azael's at home right now praying for that Yorick pick. I know he loves to watch a Yorick pick, obviously in the right position. And I think that is a reality of some of these picks is it's about finding the right place to bring them out, right? It's not that he's going to rely on any of these individually necessarily, but that this can be the turning point in any pick ban phase if you're not really well equipped as an opponent with how these picks interact with what you want to play.
Yeah, and I also think Evie, I'm just a huge fan of him as a player because I feel like even his standard stuff, if he's playing Gnar or Aatrox or Ornn, he plays them at like a world-class level.
Yeah.
So I think he can actually go toe-to-toe with pretty much anyone in the world. So I just I think he's such a good player and is one of the big reasons they've been successful for so long.
It's a good addendum. It's a good follow-up because it's not about painting them as gimmicks, right? They're not gimmick players. These are just extra pieces of what is in their arsenal, the weaponry that they can jump to. So the next player we're going to talk about is Robo because it's not just Evie.
Look at this.
It's a
little different.
Like, actually, what I would want to do is take somebody who doesn't know this team, show them these, and go, what role does he play? Because, like, do you know? Do you know what role this guy plays? Like,
and it's something he's been willing to do for years. Like, for years, he's been playing on things like Tristan on the top lane, willing to try and just gap the enemy top laner.
Yeah.
But it goes to the same point that Jack just made that, right, he doesn't rely on these. He's willing to bring out whether it's the Jacks or going to the tanks, but he has these picks in the arsenal. It's like, how much have you practiced against Top Kench top or Janna top or Tristana?
once, if you were in the LCS back in spring. You played against a Janna top.
During the Smite top minute.
Yeah, there it is. So there's like 2 teams in all of the world who are prepared to play against that. Loud, though, as we mentioned, has already played 1 game today. So as we've done before, we're going to take a look back at some of the key moments, from that first game, get ourselves a refresher. It's been a long day, a lot of action breaking down. And so again, while they didn't get the win, this was another game that felt like at times it could go either way.
There were a lot of close fights, and you could see that Loud really wanted this game to go late, especially Seraphine Nautilus is a death ball style team composition, especially with like a double bruiser, top jungle, and Hecarim Jax. But Fiora got a little far ahead, Kai'Sa definitely got too far ahead, and they really just couldn't win the team fights to allow their team composition to turn on.
Yeah, just one of those things I feel like beyond bringing out such early aggression in terms of the champions they picked and just having so many different angles where they were able to get on things like the Seraphine very early on, take her out of the fight. And it's like, okay, she might not be the main DPS, but now, these bruisers like the Hecarim, things like the Azir, the Ajax are not able to survive as long, and the burst was there.
I was gonna say, it also just kind of felt like a very volatile game, right? When we took a look, as you mentioned, Jad, a lot of those fights close at times, but as soon as they do start to break one way or the other, you kind of start to see what that extra gold in the pocket affords teams.
And this was really the fight. You see the Seraphine ult goes completely wide. The Fiora healing comes in at the perfect time for Beyond. And it was kind of just so many things breaking against them in that fight, and it really swung the game.
Okay, well, there it is. We've set up the game. We're going to get our first look at DFM up against Loud, who are trying to put a win on the board before they close out day number 1. As we head back out to a couple of hooligans to capture this game, I wanted to bring something up, okay? Now, for the 2 of you out there, I need you to understand that JoJo, who you're holding between you, that is a symbol of national pride. That is an endangered species, and I'm fairly certain that it's a federal offense to deface a national symbol like the bald eagle or even touch one, if I'm being honest. So I wouldn't be surprised if soon enough there's an FBI raid on the LCS studio and those 2 find themselves behind bars.
They should delete that footage before
that's the thing. You got to realize that everything you do in this, there it is, boom.
Oh, my goodness.
We locked them up, baby. All right, quick shot. Goldberg, take it away, boys. From prison, you get 1 phone call. Who's it to?
I don't. Maybe I know how to do this. So we can get out of this.
How?
Okay, I know how to do this. We bribe. I've made a gift for JoJo. I felt bad as well.
A gift?
Yes. So
wait, can we get out of jail first?
We'll get out of. I made a hat.
Oh, okay. This is how we get out of jail.
Yeah, look. So I'm sorry, and you can't even see it. There's a lock in the way. So see, it worked. I've made a hat
on his head. Did you
for
try it on his head?
JoJo, and there he goes. He's glorious. Look at it, JoJo #1. And 1 to EU. There we go. Look, it's a bit of both. Everyone's happy now, right? Right?
I have to tell everybody at home, Goldberg heard, they said, look, we have to put the eagle on the table. Something's happening. We don't know. In less than 30 seconds, he made that hat, knowing that something troublesome was coming. So first of all, your instincts are spot on.
Thank you,
Secondly,
Goldberg.
I don't even care. This bird needs
What's
to go.
the hat?
This bird needs to go. It's done.
We're back in jail now.
Win a game, and maybe, actually, this will be interesting. Will an American caster deface the bird after the stakes have been set?
Maybe.
Ooh, we'll find out. Okay, maybe it won't be an American casting if NA wins. Let's turn our attention to the game. Detonation Focus. We keep that safe because we do need to keep
I'm
using
putting it back on.
DFM are taking on Loud. Just a quick reminder, of course, the fact Loud lost earlier to Beyond Gaming, and I think I was shocked. I was surprised. Not only did I not I didn't expect Loud to lose that game, firstly, and the manner in which they lost was surprising to me.
I think it's really clear that there is sometimes even how good of a draft you build coming into it, because I actually think Loud had a better draft against Beyond Gaming. When it come down to the play and when it came down to the execution, it just wasn't there. And I think it was small mistakes that led up to it. TinOwns getting caught off guard a little bit. The analyst desk talked about some of the team fights they were breaking down as well. And let's be honest, those abilities, they were just not connecting. So going into the next game, you've had your first stage game. You've had the nerves, the jitters, whatever it is to go through. You know what it feels like. And coming from Brazil, like the amount of stages these guys have to play on and everything, they're used to nerf. They're used to a big fan base. They're used to the expectations. So I still rate Loud. I think that coming into this, they know what went wrong. And hopefully against Detonation FocusMe, they'll try and fix some of them or iron out some of the issues they've had.
Let's talk a little bit about DFM as the players are getting ready for picks and bans. This is the most successful regional team around the world. DFM have won the LJL so many times, have represented the LGL on the international stage so many times. This season, however, is a little different. The competition was higher. This is not a one region team this summer. And seeing how Loud have lost earlier today, you have to kind of assume that they're going to be a bit excited, going to be maybe even favored in the matchup.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, because I do think after the first loss coming into it and with the stakes Detonation FocusMe have behind them, there's certainly a leeway to it. Going into it, and I actually will put my name at stake here, I actually think Loud could have been a good matchup into Detonation FocusMe because they play so fast and they play so aggressively all the time.
From domestic league, right?
Domestically, right. Whereas Detonation FocusMe, they're incredibly versatile, they have incredibly gifted laners, but they also have a tendency to fall under pressure in the mid to late game and go for random team fights at times, which could have benefited Loud. But I will also say these team fights that Loud had themselves in the mid to late game earlier today didn't really speak of a team who really performed there. So I think it's redemption time for Loud, and for Detonation FocusMe, they're stable here. If you love play-ins, you love this team. They're here almost every single year, and the storylines and the amount of time we've seen the players here, you can only root for them. Last year, they finally made that mark where they went on towards World Championship. This time around, as we also saw with MSI, it's a bit of a rebuild, and it's a bit of different set of expectations coming through. This region, in my eyes, have already been super successful. Now it's just like, what can they achieve again?
Yeah, and of course, you are seeing all the players playing from their individual rooms due to those COVID protocols. Let's talk a little bit about Vedius's favorite team, DFM. He always goes on the record supporting them. He always predicts them to win the World Championship. These are facts. He said this to me in Berlin. I swear, it's true.
You sure it's not Nightmare you were talking to?
Well, he does it too, but that's a lot more known. I'm trying to reveal backstage secrets from Vedius, right? But GB, let's talk about the danger players. You know, who should we be keeping our eyes out for when DFM hit the Rift?
I feel like you have three that you're always looking at. And coincidentally enough, it's the stable three that you see on the roster. My favorite to have a look at, it's Steel in the jungle. I know a lot of people rate Ebby in the top side, and arguably so, they should. But Steel, to me, is really a good catalyst of this team as well. He can be played for. He can be the facilitator. He can be the one setting up the lanes, because the lanes are so versatile. So there's really a lot of a burden for Steel as well to kind of adapt his playstyle, his pathing, all of his jungle style as well every time he's playing. And I really think that he's one to look for. Ebby in the top side, you've seen him loads of times. His champion pool is wacky. He can be the carry. He can be the tank you want to play for instead. And then, of course, Yutapon in that AD carry position. It's just stable. He's just gifted, and he continues to show it.
I'm going to have to find out if he can deliver on this stage. What I love seeing, if you're watching the player cams, the players are having a great time.
Aww.
They're making combined hearts.
Making love.
I think. Are they?
Oh, yeah, phrase.
Sure. Phrasing. Somebody clip that. I'm glad we got a second shot.
Why'd you have to call it out?
It was
Just
too
let it
good
slide
not to.
next time.
It is too good not to.
I'm jet lagged.
But I am happy to see the Loud players in good spirits. It has been a long day for everyone watching, for everyone playing, but also for them having lost that game to Beyond earlier. We are waiting to get into draft, and when I look at the lobby, it is obviously the players off stage who are currently setting up. I'm going to ask one more gameplay thing, and then we can play a little bit of fun. Maybe we can like punish Jojo a little bit more.
No, leave that poor bird alone. I like that bird. I don't know what you have against it.
You defaced the bird. So one last gameplay question.
He asked me to.
Picks and bans, bro.
Yeah.
We're going into game 6 here.
Yeah.
Have you been surprised a little bit? I know obviously you wanted to see more Maokai. We got it in Game 5, the opportunity's still there. But
Yeah.
like, has anything else kind of stood out or do you think is missing?
I think the Grace priority that we saw from solo queue was the only one where I wasn't really sure if that was something that was going to translate into the pro play, but seeing how high the priority really is, it wouldn't surprise me if Steel is also one of these guys who really wants to have a prioritization on that one, and him suddenly saying, you know what, I'm going to be the one facilitated. In general, play-ins meta is always a bit interesting, right? Because no matter what really becomes meta here, it might just change when you reach the group stage. You look back to last year with 2021 Worlds.
Yeah.
Amumu was played all the time, and it was just not successful. But they were so adamant at putting it out and playing all the time. Once we reached the main stage with group stage, Yuumi was the first pick. Like, it was completely different in terms of the approach you had. So play-ins is ironing out what really works in the patch. And I mean, other teams are learning from it. They can apply it to their own scrims. They can form their own ideas.
Do you think it's similar trends going to happen? Because we've seen a lot of engaged supports today as well.
I think it's just going to be
possible.
engageable. I think also if you're a minor region or if there's something you're struggling with, having someone to say, we're just going to send it, it's way easier to play. It's easy to execute. Having an enchanter at times, well, first of all, you kind of need to draft around it and have someone else who is going to be that facilitator. But it also means that if your top side is split pushing, then in a 4 versus 4, you're not the one with the engage any longer if your opponent has an engage support and they could then send it. There's different.
Can I tell you
kind of-
something?
Yeah.
I hate the phrase send it.
I
just
love
want
send it.
everyone
I
to
love
know.
send it.
I hate
really
it.
love it.
It is lazy communication. You can say the point in a more meaningful, impactful way.
You know what I think you should? I think you should head to Twitter. You should type it in, and you should send it.
Okay, done. Let's do this right now, seeing as though we have some time.
You-
I've never actually live tweeted in my 10 years of doing this job.
I think you should do
I
it.
hate.
You could read Reddit as well on the
the
live thread. Everyone was saying hi to
phrase
Flowers
send
when that
it.
happened.
At Gulborg. There we go. At Gulborg Real. Because you don't want the fake one.
Yeah.
Hashtag world.
I wonder if
I
you'll
am
get-
legitimately tweeting this, so I hate the phrase send it. And I click tweet. not the other.
What should we be using instead? Enlighten me.
I don't know. Like the point of
Well,
the
that's not
sentence
the
is
answer
what
I'm
matters.
looking for, is
Of course
it?
I do want to give one quick shout out, of course, to Rob's Day and Loud's second game of the day. One of the things I absolutely love about CBLOL as a region is that they have sent 7 different organizations
Yeah.
to MSI and
They
Worlds,
produce
right?
a lot of players.
They really, really do. And, you know, I've been such a huge fan since Alliance got kaboomed. But one of the other things, I know, it's just fun. Like, you know, you fall in love with the moment. And it was like one of the first times that I really remember the up and coming, the emerging regions, like taking a huge win. And it was so painful and so memorable and so beautiful in retrospect. At the time, I hated CBLOL. Please don't get me wrong. I was very unhappy, but I've
Okay.
come to reflect and learn and appreciate it. The other thing about that is they've sent 40 different players to international events. In comparison, the LJL has sent 20 different players. That's excluding this World Championship. I mean, that is crazy. But the turnover, the turmoil, the number of teams that are champions coming out of Brazil is dramatic. Like, it is a flamboyant region. In that
And once again, not to say that LGL is a one-team region, because
No.
it was close this year, but in contrast to it,
Yeah.
you're so used to see Detonation FocusMe. But from Brazil, every time, you're like, here's Pain Gaming, here's Flamingo, even Furio, who's a good CS team as well, was trying to make their emerging exits. They just
INTZ.
have a lot of INTC, of course,
Red
as well.
Canids, Kaboom, Pain Gaming, Team
going.
1, Flamengo, and now Loud. And ladies, gentlemen, and everybody else, vamos, Loud. Let's jump into the draft. Jax, Callista, Hecarim, Caitlyn. Okay, Seraphine, Nautilus. Will we see it again?
I mean,
I don't want to.
I think in my crystal ball, I put Seraphine to be the champion to have the most flexibility. Just going off the pack, you can see it as a support if it's paired up with Senna. You can see it in the mid lane as well. I think it's going to be super versatile. Graves actually been banned away by Detonation FocusMe themselves. I think that speaks a lot to the kind of League of Legends they want to play. They don't necessarily want to have their laners playing for Steel. They want still to have Steel to be a catalyst. And remember, he's playing quite a few Vi games as well, just to be the kind of one to set up his lanes, just to get it through there. Trundle as well being banned away, so still much about the jungle.
I mean, Steel has got 2 Vi games this year. Croc has got himself 3. Trundle was banned away. This track is awesome, actually. It's really hard for me to focus. I literally just want to dance. And it's going to be a first pick Taliyah for Yaharong.
I think that makes a lot of sense, and not to kind of what do you say, talk bad about someone. I think Yaharong is one of these players that can get gapped in lane a little bit, so seeing him be on facilitation instead is actually something that's going to help the team quite a bit. He's kind of like the same player that we will call Froggy, we'll call Taliyah a little bit. Does have his moments on other champions every now and then, but he's definitely a good pick with this Taliyah here.
It's also doubly effective because it is TinOwns' most played champion along with Ari. He's won 7 out of the 8 games that he's played this summer. So, you know, not only valuable for DFM, but denying that from Loud will be great. That MissFortune has been secured, has been a very successful pick throughout the course of the day. And Sejuani, another champion that is seeing high presence across day 1 of World.
Yeah, so let's see what they're actually looking to utilize for themselves here, because you can match it yourself. You just want to lock in that lock in a jungler here, and then just say, you know what, there's still quite a few AD carries up and available. We're going to wait afterwards. But it could also just be the fact that you want to contest on the MissFortune immediately by either going for a Tristana or an Aphelios to try and see if you can match her in lane instead. But MissFortune still very, very strong on this patch. So let's see what DFM has planned out for their draft here. Looks like they're going to secure that Aphelios. Question it, do you feel like you need to pair yourself up with a support right now? Because you are still against Loud, who's of course sitting with that red side and has the access for that counter pick on the support role.
When I look at Yutapon as well, I cannot see any games played of Aphelios this summer. He has played a number 7 throughout the course of spring, so not a lot of recent picks. Not going to be too unfamiliar with that option. And I know it was one of the potential counters we were talking about in the previous game. Poppy will be the last champion secured here for DFM.
Yeah, I mean, spring everyone was about, like, had to play Aphelios. If you're a pro player, an AD carry that had to go through spring, you had to know how to play this. So Yutapon, of course, no stranger to the champion either. And the question is, do you feel like you need to lock in a support here in 3 and start banning away some counters if you're looking for the engaged supports that we've seen so many teams default to? Or are you going to look for a counter pick in the mid lane against the Taliyah?
What option do you prefer to see in this scenario, knowing that TinOwns has already had one of his champions removed and obviously the bans are possible too?
I mean, looking at yourself on red side, you already know what the enemy mid laner is picking.
Yeah.
So just getting that for yourself is great. You can blind pick on 4 here if you want to keep the flex alive on the Sejuani. I just feel like you send it top and you pick your jungler or pick your top laner and you keep that counter pick alive for the MissFortune, just because you can already see what they're looking for from the side of DFM. You have a facilitating jungler, you have a facilitating mid laner, you have a carry in the AD carry position. So I think it just makes a lot of sense if you can shut that down.
Now, let's find out what happens in the second phase of bans.
I love that. This is a classic strategy from a lot of pro players that goes back to, let me hover a champion in the first part of the draft phase. They were hovering Yone, and now it's the first champion the enemy is going to think about when they go into the second ban phase.
Do you think it makes sense, though? Would it have complemented the composition for DFM, or do you think they're in their heads? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, sometimes it may give you too many things to play for, but Yone is still one of these champions that actually functions very well in a team fight, unlike a lot of other bruisers, so it could make sense. Definitely could. But there's also a lot of other champions that still will make sense from the side of DFM, like Dion coming out.
Okay, crystal ball time. What do you want to see locked in? I know you've talked about the counter pick option. Maokai secured here for Robo on Loud?
No, for Abby.
That's what I thought. Abby, Maokai. Will it happen? Will it be banned or stolen away? Ornn was the next one. One last option here. Both DFM have Loud now slowed the drafting phase down significantly.
Yeah.
In comparison to phase 1, figuring things out and also trying to figure out what will the other team select.
What you have to realize is that jungle bans was a big attention in the first draft phase, and the fact that Trundle was banned out on 3 gave a lot of access to Steel to go for the Poppy, because that meant a lot of the counters are out of the window. It's also the reason they decided to say, you know what, we're going to ban Olaf as well and make sure all the Poppy counters are just going to be out of the way, because what's left up? You go for a Jarvan into the Poppy? No, that's not going to be the case. Maybe a cheeky Skarner, but I'm not actually too sure if Croc plays it. They might also just default to the Sejuani, put it into jungle, seeing as they have 4th picked their support here.
And of course, that Amumu now secured for Sheos. There's a lot of go forward buttons. The Sejuani, a lot of Sleepy Trouble Bubble. The Amumu and layer on top with bullet time. Aatrox is locked in. Robo will now either get that Sejuani. I want to know if you like the option into it as Harp gets the Alistar, or do you want to see a different pick? Because we talked backstage about running some aggressive options into Aatrox, at least being able to contest it.
I mean, this is the game where you say maybe we just want to play the side. The problem with that is that even DFM still has a mid laner that has incredibly huge, quick access rather, to the side lane with the Taliyah wall. But I think if you have a flex and you wait to 5 pick for your top laner, you want something that really makes sense. You want something that secures through the matchup, and I think you just have to slam something that works in the top lane. Instead, they've actually decided to lock in the Viego, and this is where I don't always fully understand what they're looking for, because if you already had the counter pick for one of your lanes where you could have just picked the jungler immediately, and then you could have gotten the support counter pick instead, now you just gave them access to put themselves in a good position for DFM by giving them the Alistar into the Amumu. So I think on red side, Loud didn't fully utilize what they could have gotten here.
And the question is, will it punish them? Of course. Will this be something that comes back to hurt them? Find out how this Viego and Sejuani play out, because I think that's the crux of this in terms of where you wanted to run potential, counter's a strong word, but like answers into what is being presented to you. And I do think it is very crucial, it's very fair to be critical of a team that's already lost a game, playing a little uncharacteristic from what we saw from them regionally or domestically. And I want to zoom out and say, how do you expect the early game to play out? Where should we focus our attention?
I think early game, you focus on DFM and what they have to offer as well, because there's a lot of ways to find ganks. Steel can go into any lane and find kill pressure if you want to do. From the side of Loud, you have team fighting on easy mode. You have Sejuani, you have Amumu, you have the MissFortune. Like, you go down in, you know, early Season 2, back in Season 3, you ban Amumu, you ban Malphite, those are the classic bans. This is the kind of composition you're looking for Loud. So if it didn't work out in the first game, this should be the one where it's not too complicated finding yourself a lead in a team fight, if you're even.
Shouldn't be too complicated. That is a bold sentence, I think. We will, of course, find out whether or not it is possible here as we load up onto the Rift. DFM making their first game, or making their debut on the world stage in 2022. The exact same roster from MSI. High expectations, I think, for the squad based on the performance we saw from Loud earlier today. They obviously want to try bounce back, and Robo got that very early Sejuani. I think, go for it.
I think for DFM as well, it's a bit of a redemption run you're looking for, because while you're saying there is a lot of expectations coming through, they didn't have the best track record at MSI, right? They came to the tournament and they 1-5, as you said. So it's obviously a rebuilding phase. You really have to put into the context that when DFM played in 2021 Worlds, they had the equivalent of Exodia that Japan could really bring to. It's true what Japan could really bring to the World Championship, and them reaching main stage was by far the best thing that could happen. Like, if you expected more, you'd be on too much copium. So I think, like, now coming back to finding the correct building blocks, that's really what you're looking for.
I really wish you'd have listened earlier and used a Voltron reference or Megazord instead of Exodia.
Yeah, but you can't really keep it repetitive. You gotta find new stuff.
Nah.
Give me more stuff to work with.
You gotta repeat the golden oldies, the classics. All right.
Maybe you're just not up to the task, Trevor.
Good ball, sassy.
I know.
Sassy. Will DFM be sassy in this early game? They've started off, got that bottom lane helping out Steel on the Poppy. Got the Phase Rush in his back pocket. Keystones were highlighted just a moment ago. And Sayush now making his way down to that bottom lane, keeping an eye on Croc. He's starting in the right eastern quadrant on that blue buff secured. So no real surprises, and Robo already jumping forward. And we do have a very brief pause.
How do you know it's brief?
Touche. We have a pause briefly after starting the game.
Oh, there you go.
That's a much
maybe you just knew
better way
something
of
I
saying it.
didn't.
No, that is 100% the right call, my friend. 100%. It's just,
It's the one and only.
if we do... Wait, hang on. Have we had... Yeah, we have had a game pause already.
We
right?
did, yes, we did.
Yes.
We're collecting them at this point. How many different kind of pause can we have?
This is...
Wait, actually, no. We're getting out in a chrono break. I'm just going to shut up.
Why do you have to... Don't tempt fate. Touch wood. Okay, there you go.
Touch wood.
A little bit of luck. It's an English saying. I don't know why. I mean, it's a sign of good luck. I don't know the origin of it, though, so I'd have to look it up.
All right, yeah. Well, I'm curious to that one.
Okay, let's Google this. We might have time.
Yeah,
What
definitely.
is the origin of touch wood? Obviously, we do have a gameplay pause. If you're getting info, I will let you know. No one knows when or how the practice of knocking on wood began. The British have used this phrase.
It's
since the
knocking on
19th
wood,
century.
not
Yeah.
touch wood.
Yeah, no, I mean, touching wood is a ritual of superstition for either bringing good luck or warding off bad luck.
Oh, wow.
Despite there is an origin that it's linked to the wooden cross, but yeah, no origin. So it's just, yeah, somebody made it up and it stuck.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go. Well,
I mean, that's how all language works, to be fair. All language is
Definitely.
made up and it just stuck.
I mean, we just knock under the table for, like, good luck in my culture.
You're going to give me all of that drama for you to just say the Danish people knock on the bottom of a table.
Yeah.
And, like, how is that different to what I just said? Actually, that'll be interesting. How do...
Are all tables made of wood?
Oh, good point. Yeah, touche. Okay.
There
I
you go.
get you. I get you. I've said that a couple times.
There you go.
Oh, unfortunately. Thank you again for sticking with us. We know it's been rough. It has been a tough day for everybody. But trust that we will obviously look into these things. And
I've been here since game 2 as well.
I mean, it's been a long day. It has been. You got the TriCast to open the day, and we're going to have 4 on the back end. Luckily, you've got a day off tomorrow. I'll be hosting the
Yeah, I'll be. But honestly, the real MVPs are the people that actually decided to just stick around and watch all of this.
The thing that
Like, honestly, Giga Chads.
The thing that I'm most excited for, when we look at tomorrow's games, when is our next EU versus NA? We're not going to have one tomorrow. As I take a look through here.
Well, there's only one NA team in the group, and it's
that
single
explains
round
it.
robin.
Thank you. See, you're good with math. I forgot, right? So maybe in playoffs.
Actually, I should have just let you look, because
the
you only got
reason-
to 2 columns. I could have just let you look for ages.
The reason I'm wondering is after defacing the bird from earlier,
Yeah.
I want to see whether or not any of our LCS colleagues will deface. Or because maybe what they could do is they can make a Canadian draw on it, right?
I'm saying it right now. If they're not bringing JoJo to New York,
Yeah.
I will riot, and
Good luck.
I will get Twitter to rally as well to bring JoJo the Eagle to New York.
escalate this.
What I want I've already decided this. I want to see JoJo next to the World Trophy at the opening ceremony of the finals. Rise up!
I just want to see Mark Z traveling with it.
Yeah,
Like,
I want to
that's
vlog
for
with
hand
it. So me and
Obviously-
JoJo's out to explore. Oh well.
We are back in game. Obviously, we are having a little bit of fun. We're not 100% certain how long those pauses are. We don't intend it to be disrespectful to DFM or Loud, but to make sure that we don't, overdo all of the stories, we'll have a little bit of fun with it. So we're back onto the Rift. I was trying to draw some attention here to Steel and to Croc in terms of some of their pathing and where they could play, as once again, a bit of engage on this bottom lane. Croc will find that bandage toss, and the double up is going to chunk Yutapon backwards. So I think somewhat to be expected in the early game engage once you get that CC down.
Yeah, what I think is really curious is the fact that both junglers has identified that they want to be pathing on towards the top side in the early game. You can actually even see it on the pings right now. Croc is skipping his own red buff, and he's moving into the blue buff off Steel instead. In terms of lane priority right now, Robo is pushing in. No ward is available for Croc. This could actually get dicey if moves are coming through, but it's looking okay so far.
Jin, not going to spot that. Steel will step forward. Smart fight is available here. Steel now being bullied. TinOwns has made his move forward as well. Yaharong is going to step backwards. So Croc will steal that blue buff away, reset the timer on the one he's already secured, and put this Poppy from DFM behind. I really liked how TinOwns was able to push that wave and step in to at least potentially back up Croc if anything played out.
How good is this game sense? Does he know that you would just pop Sweeper afterwards? He's not been spotted of it yet. That's why Steel activated the Sweeper. Oh, baited by
The observers was so good. That was exceptional from the observers. But I also think it does show, what options could have been available to Croc. And then as he backed away, it's one of those things where could have been amazing. Didn't work out that time around.
Now look at Robo though, because he does not have flash on the Sejuani, and Steel rides around the corner.
Oh, that steadfast presence is huge! So well played. Both junglers were looking at path top. Steel was denied his blue buff, and he denies Loud first blood.
And also a bit disrespectful from Robo. You can see his trinket actually came off. If he waited around a little longer, he could have gotten that ward down. And also just by the process of elimination, Steel could only be top at that point.
Yeah. I mean, Rob's day not going to a great start for him. In the first game, conceding first blood. I think some kudos there to Steel. He managed to secure the kill. Gonna have that recall instant teleport back for Aatrox and Nebby in the top lane. And every time we look at this bottom lane pushed in, so all 3 lanes pushed a little bit by Loud, and it was Robo that was punished.
Yeah, and you can see, I think Robo wanted to come down. He wanted to set up up, but just never got the chance because of the pressure from Evie. And then knowing that there's no mobility available, or that he's just not going to react in time to the flash Q coming through, Evie sets it up beautifully with Steel coming around to just ground him down.
And no flash for him either. Teleport Ignite for that Sejuani top. Ultimately getting punished for that. Yutapon and Harp this time round at a very minor CS advantage. Push this wave out. Seos has recalled. Going to start to roam back down to rejoin his bot laner. And I think for Loud, they got to be a little bit careful. We have seen Aatrox's today already running away with the game. But also, once these champions hit level 6, the engage power is absolutely fantastic. And if Croc is able to steal away Aatrox or even that Aphelios Assault also can be hugely impactful.
Oh yeah, definitely with the Aatrox there. Like, just moving forward, you don't really need the ultimate, like, but just being able to have that extra CC in your kit after finding a kill, that's going to be huge. But you're waiting for it. From the side of Loud, you're building up. Slowly but surely, you're waiting the anticipation. You're not really looking to make all the plays just yet, but once you start hitting level 6 on your champions, that's where you start getting action. But the same can be said for Yaharong in the mid lane. You're level 6 on the Taliyah now. Once you start picking up a Lost Chapter, once you have full points in your queue, that's where you start to shove in the lanes. But for now, it's actually Loud making the first move.
Again, managing to get the damage on the Yutapon. Bandage toss onto Harp. Continue to hammer. I mean, Brance is just destroying, like completely untouched that fight because DFM are running for their lives.
And I'm just so curious as well because finding counters to the MissFortune in terms of the AD carry position is actually going to be a little bit difficult. You want something that can challenge her like the Tristana with mobility, but if you're just there handshaking with auto attacks or standing behind minions when Qmax is the thing now, you are just not going to be winning out on the trades. And now with finally having that bot lane priority, forcing Yutapon and Harp to go for the reset, Loud is just going to be starting up the first objective with the neutral Drake here. And this is 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. This is a brilliant time to pick up this first one.
I'm starting to get nervous for DFM already because much like our previous game, Chiefs, DFM's early game and getting leads in the early game is kind of how they've picked up their wins, right? And now, Coolbook, how would you put it in terms of their decision-making late game for DFM? Because they're already starting to be pressured and pushed around.
Hold it.
Trouble bubble. And Abby will be conceding the next kill here. Now pick that one up, Robo gets it.
Yeah, there you have it. They might even continue the skirmishing. The thing you have to realize is that they're just very early setting off for the Herald skirmishing, if that's what they're looking for. 1 minute and it will be spawning, so looking to continue with that neutral objective stacking. But to go back to what you did say, Trevor, I think Detonation FocusMe, when they sometimes have gotten a lead, is one of the teams that feels a bit pressured to make a play. They have their very slow average game time. It's because they're not too quick at closing out their games.
Well, this time around, Yutapon and Harp, they start the fight. They ultimately lose the fight. The return damage from Make It Rain. And Brunch stepping back with that double up is meaning Harp and Yutapon continue to be bullied just a little. They're not conceding CS, it must be said. Both bot lane is sitting on the same, respectively equal, both middle and top. But again, seeing a lot of trading, and Croc and Steel haven't yet gotten involved for that secondary sort of third gang.
It's one of the things where DFM's bot lane here really wants to contest hard and making sure they get the reset first. Getting resets first as a bot lane just means you get the first move, which means you often get to be the one starting off the Herald. The main problem DFM is finding themselves in right here is that they're now on reset. That means that there's a window now that Loud can look, and as you can see right now, TinOwns push at the mid lane, Croc around as well. Level 8 for TinOwns here.
Yeah, and they're going to start off this Rift Herald, as you mentioned. Steel is pushing up. Yaharong will be able to catch that wave. Robo is keeping Ebby busy, but look at the supports. So a lot of potential members gathering around the Rift Herald. It's down to 4,500 HP. Sheyosh will be into the river a little bit later as the Sleepy Trouble Bubble from TinOwns will delay Yaharong. It's basically a 1v1v1v1v1 as now the players are starting to converge. It's Loud that have gathered enough members and pushed DFM away. I mean, it's literally all 10 players in the top half of the map.
Yeah, you can see they're still looking as well. And this is the power of the Zoe and these chokeholds as well from TinOwns. Just continuing to land these bubbles. And with no cleanse available, all DFM can look for is a Poppy ultimate and see if they can get the steal.
Oh man, now all of a sudden Steel and Ebby, do they get jumped on? The Rift Herald is still alive. It managed to reset, got back up to full now, reset down to 2,500. Harp looking for the engage level 5. Poundstar goes up.
Oh, that's a great ult.
Trouble, bubble, catches onto Yutapon. He cannot do a thing. The Herald is, however, secured on the side of DFM. Now Yutapon's running away for his life. Getting caught by Make It Rain. Has fired at the Moonlight Vigil. Gets caught by the auto. Double up waiting for the cooldown. Sleepy Trouble Bubbles dashed away from. But the flash forward from Brunch gets himself the kill. The re-engage from Steel will not be able to find anything. The bandage toss from Sheyosh, forced to flash for his life. Now all of a sudden TinOwns gets himself one. Everybody's in the jungle, and Ebby has got one. Looking for more. The Pelstar takes him out. 9 kills at 9 minutes.
And what an overreach for DFM. They get the Herald, they want to disengage, but they want more, and immediately Loud they punish. TinOwns on this Zoe. Isn't it just a fun champion seeing how it all went down? Let's have a look at the replay once again because it starts out with a great zoning ultimate from Brance as well. Big credit, though, to Steel, who manages to steal the Rift Herald. And this is where you just want to bail out. There's still so many tools for Loud to continue the fight, but I think as we move forward, this is where it's messed up. Yaharong stays around for too long to look for a play. You don't do damage on the Taliyah just yet, and Steel wants to follow up with it, but this is where TinOwns punishes. He comes in, he steals the flash, he still has the stopwatch, and great teamwork from Loud, who actually manages to bounce back in a teamfight setting. Something that really lost the game against Beyond earlier has now won them a fight here against Detonation.
Look at this energy. Gulborg, it's Worlds, baby!
Oh, it had to be there.
Loved that team fight, and I would like to highlight the Kraken Slayer at 10 minutes and 55 seconds for Brunch, 2-1 and 3. TinOwns is 3-0 and 2 on that Zoe, and he picked the Zoe into the Taliyah. So definitely doing what you want to see, and I think it is crucial because we were talking a little bit about the approach to draft on red side, and I think for at least these first fights, Loud are going to be pretty happy.
Yeah, they are definitely happy about this one. Remember, they're the team that stacked up on Drake early as well, which means that just in 10 seconds, we're going to have that next objective available. Robo does have that teleport, so does Ebby if they want to fight. They are not unleashed yet, so if they would want to join, they'd have to do it on a turret.
Oh man, right now, TinOwns is under a little bit of pressure. And all of a sudden, Steel is going to use that Hex Flash over the wall. Steel's holding on. Not going to be able to find any CC to connect, and TinOwns was forced to flash away to safety just to respect the engage.
And just look at Steel. He looked at them, and he had to flash.
Yep.
The gaze of that man.
It's about sending a message, you know?
It's about war. It's about forcing that flash and just make him go away. It's not going to make them go away from the objective nonetheless. It's still very much priority in the favor of Loud. And once again, it's the same story as earlier. Bot lane is pushed in. Brance joins the fight. And just speaking about Brance as well, this was a guy that was subbed in mid-split. He's 18 years old. Robo?
Rob's Day. Rob's Day. Rob's Day. Vamos Loud! Hashtag Rob's Day. 2-1 and 3. It's okay.
For me and all the confused reviewers out there, what is Rob's Day?
Rob put a tweet out, Robo put a tweet out saying that for all Brazilian fans, get behind him. He had pretty much every Brazilian flag possible, and glasses, hat, scarf, and he decided it's Rob's Day, and CBLOL just got behind him, and so did I. That's it. It's that simple.
It is Rob's Day indeed, and it might even be Loud's Day if they can equalize the day with the score as well. But they're not going to be looking for a dive just yet, but they are maintaining control.
I'll give you this. It was Loud's evening, because daytime did not go their way. It's been a long time since that game.
I mean, if we go on like this, it might be their nighttime as well.
That's the case. Right now, Loud, 2 dragons up, 4 kills up. It is only 1,000 gold. I think it is crucial to keep that in mind. Because Robo this time is going to look to re-engage. Winter's Wrath forward, gets the stun up, but caught out by the Darkin Blade. Turns to re-engage. There's minions doing a lot of work, and Robo is feeling the Sejuani. He's got the level advantage, he's got that Barmy Cinder, and looking to keep Abby busy. There's no support coming from anywhere else.
Yeah, and crucially as well, he hasn't been back yet after that. He's still staying around here. He still has that teleport. He still has the possibility to just clear up the minion wave, hit up that recall, and then come back with the items. And you know what? That's exactly what he's going to be doing. Of course, the next objective to fight for will be the Rift Herald as well. There's possibilities for Loud to move their bot lane up towards the top side if that's what they're looking for. It's still 1 minute and 30 seconds, so there's loads of times in terms of where you want to apply that pressure, but you can clearly already see it with the map move now. Support, moving up, looking to take charge.
I mean, the itemization, at least for the last couple of moments, there was a couple of mythics on the side of Loud. It has literally just been balanced out by DFM. And for Loud, they were able to get those combat stats down early. Keep in mind, Croc has got himself that Blade of the Rune King. Into that Frozen Fist as the Alistar won't find its target. Yaharong steps forward, he's flashed for that. That's a great seismic shove backwards, locked in place by the Steadfast Presence, but there's not enough damage just yet. Yaharong is throwing out rock off the rock off the rock, but it's Steel that goes down first. Flash away from the Croc, gets the Blast Cone, and Croc escapes thanks to that Heartbreaker.
It was a little messy from both sides, but in the end, Loud, there's still the team coming out on top, and we're still 40 seconds on the Rift Herald. There's still loads of time for you to come back, reset, and set it up. And even bigger, Brance still being down towards that bottom side of the map. Now it's just a race. Who can pick up the first turret? Is it going to be a DFM in the mid lane, or is it Brance in the bot side?
It feels like it's going to be, although Robo's going to try to dissuade the slight amount of CC. Allows Loud to get that first turret blood secured. They hold on for a little while longer before that mid lane tower dies, and for Loud now, they've extended that gold lead further. It's 2 minutes until the third dragon. That's a 17-minute Drake 3. is TinOwns Paddle Star will get caught by the minions. That'll make Ebby pretty happy because that was a lot of damage.
But if you secure the Rift Tail now as well, you put yourself in a great position. This is a Rift Tail you can use to utilize either a gold lead in a side lane, or as Robo finds himself in the mid lane as well, he might be getting caught. Nope, he's out of there. Or just to have it as pressure in the mid lane as well when that third Drake finally comes up.
Ooh. Loud now setting themselves up for yet another fight. The Herald is once again available. Both teams, are you a little bit surprised at both teams' willingness to fight for these objectives? Because it has felt, other than the Dragons, everything else has been contested and challenged.
This is the Loud I know and have heard so much about from their own region. They're looking to take charge. They're not afraid to fight around their objectives. One of the things I really liked about this team was their lack of hesitation. It's a double-edged sword. Sometimes it really bites them in the back, but when they're in their form and when they're finding a lead and they just keep the pace going, that's why they're super difficult to play against. And as you can see, while DFM is around the same side of the map, there's no way they can match it, and they're not getting anything else elsewhere on the map either.
I mean, for Loud, the players of Robo and TinOwns currently shining. Obviously, Brance doing a lot as well, but I just want to highlight the fact that this team winning their split here in summer, both Robo and TinOwns came from opposition, came from Pain Gaming as a duo. And they're now stepping up and carrying this. The reason I want to talk about them a little bit, that Sejuani pick and Zoe from Phase 1 have been sort of the difference makers in the engages we've seen thus far. With 30 seconds until the next dragon spawns, you have to imagine they're going to be willing to fight. But Yaharong, on this first pick, Taliyah has got a lot of damage out. Not going to be enough to take down what is a very tonky Sejuani.
You may have a lead, but you can't disrespect them. There's still ways they can come back into this game. But yeah, I agree. I feel like TinOwns really had some misplay going into the second game. Now, Ebby still looking to take charge of the enemy's blue side jungle. The deeper vision they can have for this objective, the better setup for when the Drake finally spawns. But
Teleport.
as you said, teleport.
Teleport, teleport, teleport. Not going to find a target just yet. Glacial Prison. Glacial Prison. Come on, Robo. Find your target. DFM, what's your answer? How do you stop this down? Weaver's wall can work, and this is great from Yutapon. He's pushing the mid lane. Robo's going to caught out. The Umpul Chains won't pull him backwards, and Brance is stepping forward, looking for a target to pull it. Time down. Croc is going to heartbreak away. The Poppy going to have that steadfast presence, and Evie gets stunned up, locked up, taken down. Loud get another kill. They will get themselves another dragon.
And DFM, they just want to make that play so bad. But Loud, they're just in a way better position, and huge props to Robo once again, finding steal. The rest of Loud immediately collapsing.
Oh, so well played here, Loud. They are still only 2,000 gold up, but crucially, the game accelerator, the way to really look to finish cleanly, finish fast, is to look for that soul, look for that Elder. And right now, 3 dragons at 18 minutes. Loud have got themselves set up for, let's call it theoretically, one more dragon fight, get that soul, and that's really how you can see them winning this game.
Most definitely, and let's just have a look at the replay once again. Oh, it's actually TinOwns who find the bubble, and then it's just a no-brainer for Robo afterwards to find it with 3 other ultimates combined on top of it. And he does so much damage. You can see why they're really looking for it, why he's flashing forward, but even if he gets it, his own team is just not in a position to really follow up afterwards.
Can I give you a quick stat you're going to love?
Oh,
you're really going to love this
How do you know I'm going to love them?
I know this for a fact.
Okay, go on.
Do you know that Loud have been involved in both of the fastest first dragons of the day? Ask me how.
How?
In their game against BYG, Dragon number 1 was secured at 6 minutes and 35 seconds by Beyond Gaming. In this game, it was picked up by Loud in 6 minutes and 35 seconds to the second. They've been involved in both games with the fastest first dragon.
Improvise, adapt, overcome. That was the adaptation. They're trying to overcome what they had done earlier in the game, and now TinOwns might be getting caught.
So good. TinOwns is going to be able to escape for now. That Sleepy Trouble bubbled it so much, and
here's the rest.
hasn't bought enough time. Loud arrive. The Glacial Prison splashed away from it. Will lock Steel under the turret. He starts spinning the Poppy Copter and will send Brance away. The re-engage is fantastic for Detonation. Focus me, but Ebby gets focused down himself. Robo looks for another stun. Will find the Permafrost and lock down the kill for Croc, who's stolen away the shoves, the pebbles, the rocks. Manages to heartbreak once more. It's a double for TinOwns. 4 more kills for Loud, and they are running away with this game.
Only 1 traded back for DFM, and as you said, they are most certainly running away with it. 20 minutes into the game, they're lacking their jungler. But how bold are they feeling? How much are they feeling themselves? Purple Worm has been starting up.
Purple Worm has been started quickest. This may be the fastest Baron of the day. I'm fairly confident on that. I will wait for it to be secured and ask for stats to validate it. So Loud on the day will have the fastest Baron.
Oh, they're waiting for their member.
Will have conceded the fastest dragon and will have secured the fastest dragon. Can I get a stats confirmation on that? And can we make Dash ask the analyst desk about it? Because quick stats are also his passion. He knows it. Break down this fight for me, Football.
Yeah, and I mean, it's... I was not ready for that transition, by the way. I thought initially this was the fight that was going to work in the favor of DFM. But the, once again, just the willingness to pull the trigger from Croc to just flash over the wall to set it all up. I legitimately thought this was going to be another Pentacle had Harp not find the Polarize in towards the turret. But even then, TinOwns, with that set flash as well, immediately ults forward, finds it, and Paddle Star for a double kill. Just great stuff from the side of Resilience. And let's have a look now as they're still looking for fight.
Oh, what? Where did Harp go? Literally, where did he go? I didn't see the damage at all. 1.4k damage from Brance on MF. If we do get a replay, that has to go slow-mo because my old man eyes did not see it. Rebel Baron power play activated. 2 minutes left to go.
Surely not.
Inhibitors being focused down. We may be on track for the fastest game of the day as well.
Oh, most definitely. And even if you're not, they're just pushing in the mid lane or bottom inhibitor. And then still, TinOwns in the mid lane, shoving in a wave as well. They can just keep the rotations going. But they're actually going to push them out here just from their own base. Very greedy path to take, but there's no way for DFM to punish them right now.
Dun, 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 dun. The engage comes up from Steel. Not going to be able to do a lot more. Ebby has just spawned this second. No teleport available. Inhibitor secured in the bottom lane.
Yeah, most definitely. But it also just feels like now they're just waiting for the pressure to come through. They're looking to find a RAF point of attack. They're not really looking to commit to anything too much, I say, as an engage comes through.
Does indeed. The bullet time's flying across Harp. Steel is the next target. Chunked down. Heavy forced to run for his life. Robo goes over the wall, but doesn't find the target just yet. Yutapon will just about go down as Croc will heartbreak his way forward. Another tower falls. The inhibitor's being focused as well. We are on track for the fastest game of Worlds 2022.
Yeah, 2 members down, 3 members actually with Epi as well. Minion wave coming in here as well, and they can definitely look for it. Ultimate comes through, but Cannon Minion is still there, and Sleep, but no one's enough to actually punish it.
Good book, good book.
What?
Improvise,
What?
adapt, overcome. Earlier today, Loud lost to Beyond, and that was the fastest win of the day. Right now, Loud want to reclaim that.
Oh,
Nexus turret
close.
number 1 is being focused. That's the Budlight Ace underneath the Nexus turrets, underneath the Nexus, and the fastest win of play-ins day 1. Loud take down DFM.
Loud strike back, and I really thought that they were just going to try and set up for the Dragon, keep DFM pressured in their own base, but DFM had enough. They looked for a fight, and that find allowed Loud to silence Detonation FocusMe.
Oh my word, what a game. Everybody at home, I got very excited. I got a bit carried away with that one, but my word, did I have fun. So, in 2 games today, Loud are now 1-1. They have conceded the fastest dragon of play-ins. They have secured the fastest dragon of play-ins. They originally conceded the fastest loss of play-ins, and now they just set the fastest win.
But when I was talking to some of the English casters as well of CB LoL, this was the team that was described to me. The team that, you know, they're not afraid. They want to put themselves forward.
This
they
was
want to
not
find
the team we saw earlier against Beyond.
Exactly. I thought that against the Beyond earlier, they would actually be way more aggressive, but they just really didn't found their way on the stage just yet. But this is the team that won CB LoL.
Definitely fantastic bounce back of the 5 games they will play in the group stage. 1 win, 1 loss. Taking a look at the rest of the squads here, I mean, Fnatic currently 2-0. Evil Geniuses Chiefs to look forward to playing against, as well as Fnatic. Loud, I think, going to be happy with that one, at least picking up that win. And for DFM, a little bit disappointed, maybe. The game absolutely ran away from them. Those early dragons and those team fights, Loud just had the answers.
Yeah, DFM has been a team that's been sort of reliant of finding that early game lead as well for themselves. And as you said this time around, Loud find the answers. They find a lot of good skirmishes, and they just kept them coming all the time. This is the team that's like, 1 play, great. Reset, how do we find the next play? And they just keep that going. If you can break the Loud momentum, you kind of set a little halt for them, but DFM was just not able to find that. Even in a fight that looks good initially, where Steel finds a great poppy ult, I mean, Croc just flashes forward, and he just takes charge and matters into his own hand.
And I will just say, Brazil, you won the game that I shoutcasted. Obrigado, vamos. We're breaking down that lightning fast Loud victory with the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Where the heck is Goldberg off to? This day's not over yet. You still have more cast ahead of you, my friend. As Loud garner the win here to push themselves to 1-1 on the day. Gonna feel good for the CBLOL team to end their day on a high note, getting it done against DFM.
Look, I'm saying Quickshot said it on the desk. It's Rob's day. Of course it's getting done. We've got TinOwns on Zoe. Who doesn't love TinOwns on Zoe?
DFM doesn't like TinOwns on Zoe, man, because, yeah, that was, they popped off.
This was dominant.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. I was...
You got anything else?
I was a little surprised. And so I was talking with Mark actually backstage about this, and he was saying, like, yes, we've seen DFM all the time. Maybe my read of them was actually a little too generous because their MSI performance was pretty bad.
True.
But also, like, I've seen TinOwns and Robo at international competition, and they look so improved. And it makes me question, like, the anchoring that I have of certain teams based off of when you saw them last. And it writes off players' ability to improve. So, like, I was very impressed with the way that Loud played, and I think they should be real contenders.
This fight right here, man. Everybody on slivers of health at the end of it, Lyric.
Yeah, it was just absolutely I mean, their team fighting overall throughout the whole game was solid. They were always on the same page. Robo had some great engages. TinOwns was just popping off. And again, getting to see the Zoe come out, a champion that has been buffed since the last time we saw her and have such a great performance, was just huge. But bouncing off what Jack just said about improvement reminds me of, you know, a new episode of that show with, like, Dom, with Core JJ just came out. Core JJ said these regions with huge player bases are just going to keep improving. Like, they are going to get good in regions like CBLOL. He actually shouted out loud,
Very cool.
teams that you have to look forward to seeing.
I mean, I love that, and I love calling out the idea that teams can improve, but also that's exactly what day one is about, right? This idea it gives teams the opportunity to reset our expectations because we do spend so much of the year with different regions in some form of isolation from each other, right? And so, you know, we do our best, we make whatever approximations we can about their supposed strength, but day one, day two of groups is usually where half of that gets thrown out the window and we're forced to quickly reevaluate. And I do think now with this performance, Loud is going to start to be considered maybe a little bit more of a threat than some people were willing to give them credit for being.
Yeah, their loss in the first game of the day, I think I really liked their draft in that one, and they weren't able to turn the corner. This game, it was a start-to-finish victory. I think maybe because some of those fights were so close, it did help them end a little bit faster because it took like a close game into a decisive victory.
Yeah.
But kind of across the board, really impressed with all their players.
Yeah, again, while we were sitting backstage with Mark, I think it was that kind of like top blue side jungle fight that was slivers of health for everyone, where we kind of mentioned, like, that was a position where Evie with Flash, for example, on the Aatrox, can close that gap, start picking up the kills and the health, and could have turned that entire fight around in like a 1v3 situation. Without the Flash, though, can't outplay it, and it does go the way of Loud. And since they ended that fight with, I think, a triple kill onto the Zoe, right? That's when you really start to see him do work, because he's got the gold with it.
Yeah, I mean, just overall Loud, all three carries performing in that game.
Moving right along here. Next up, we've got Saigon Buffalo versus the Istanbul Wildcats. Check out Wildcats' pick, Go Wild, as the song that represents their play style and the rest of the teams competing at Worlds on the official LoL playlist on Spotify. We'll catch you back here in just a bit.